أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. Alhamdulillah. So the audio is open for all of us, so we can have a an interactive session where we can discuss, and this will be recorded inshallah so that it can be available for others to watch and hear inshallah. The idea that I had was to have a group discussion more so than me just doing all the talking about the assessment ideas that we have implemented or plan to implement in this distance learning environment. So I only heard from Dr. George. The others, is your audio open? Can you? We only have 9 people here, so we can talk inshallah. Can you hear me, or is your audio open?
Yes, I can.
Okay, alhamdulillah, very good.
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect.
so the let's just move on to the next slide. I have a few items listed here that I have done, and some of them plan to do in the next few days, inshallah. The quiz, I believe everybody is doing. There is no other way. The first one, the short quizzes, which are timed, and then simulation is something that I'm doing in my auditing class, and then IT assignments, doing a project using the computer software, which also I have done, and then presentations, the students recording presentations in PowerPoint. They can either submit the slides with the audio, or they could make videos out of them and present. And I have some details about them that if time permits, I would discuss some of them in detail, but I would like for each one of us to take a turn and discuss ideas, maybe talk about something that they have done in 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then we can all benefit from them. So we can start with Dr. Chris Stryker, and he's the first one on my list, so that's why I'm starting. Dr. Chris, can you hear us? Okay, I think we'll go to the next person. Dr. Daniela, I believe.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, would you like to share with us an idea that you have implemented or plan to implement in your class that is different than your regular assessments?
You already mentioned the ones that we have been doing, the short time quizzes, and we're also doing online presentations in real time.
Right.
The students present on Blackboard Collaborate Ultra,
Okay.
and we evaluate what they're saying in real time.
Okay, so you give them access to present their slides as well, display their slides and make the presentations, right?
Yes, yes. I changed their role to presenter, and then I listen to their presentations. At the end, I can ask them questions.
No issues with that, right? It's smooth. No technical issues you're facing with this, right? Everything is flowing smoothly.
Well, it's not going perfectly, but we are doing it successfully.
Right. Right. Now, Dr. Daniel, like just going back to the short quizzes, and also, everybody else, the time frame, because I suppose most of us are doing objective type questions like multiple choice, true, false, matching, things like that, right? As for time is concerned, how much time do you think is suitable, because students are continuously asking for more time. At least I'm facing that. And while we don't want to give them a whole lot of time so that they can go and access the material and the books and all of that, but at the same time we want to allow them the right amount of time to complete these quizzes. So just to brainstorm, what do you think is appropriate, let's say, for on an average for one multiple choice question, what is the appropriate time you think? And we have different types of questions in the multiple choice as well.
We are doing short listening quizzes instead of our regular listening quiz. We are doing 3 short listening quizzes. Each of them is 4 minutes long.
Can you tell us the subject you're talking about?
I'm teaching English to elementary students, elementary level at the moment. So they're taking the listening quiz online. They have about 2 minutes to hear the recording and total time of 4 minutes to complete and submit the questions.
Okay. So they're satisfied with the time you give them? Is that enough?
They're saying it's enough. There were complaints about the practice quiz.
Right.
But these ones are really short, only 4 questions. And they seem fine with the time.
How about others? Dr. George, Dr. Hassan, anybody else? What about your time?
From my side, excuse me. First, thank you very much for this good, excellent presentation. In my opinion, it can vary actually. However, for the multiple choices, in my opinion, and based on the experience that I have, experienced during my this present semester, no more than 30 seconds to 1 minute per question.
Multiple choice.
Because sometimes they can cheat. This is the most major problem that we hear.
Right. And I have surveyed the students, I mean, not formal survey, but I have asked them about the time frame, and the time that they're getting from different courses, it just varies so tremendously. There is like a course where my students got 10 multiple choice questions and 30 minutes to answer. And in another course, they got 25 questions and 30 minutes to answer. So the range is just tremendous.
Hello?
Go ahead, Dr. Hassan.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for the presentation and for the idea about this one. Well, actually, I would like to share with you that in terms that I'm teaching accounting, and we have like to deal with numbers and equations and so on. And actually, like we have like a quiz for about like 10 marks, and in this case, that for the theoretical one, if just like he or the student need to like just to think about it quickly, and in order to answer, take into consideration might be he opened the book and so on with the current environment. So like for the theoretical one, I believe like 1 minute to 1 minute and a half is more than enough. While for the calculation, it might be like would be like 3 to 4 minutes with a simple calculation. But I end up with like many complaints about the time. But meanwhile, the grades are fine. So I'm not sure what was the source of the complaint about the time. While the grades I mean, like the average is it's not bad. It is like it's in a good shape. So this is what I have, and for the next quiz, I'm here like to learn about like what is the ideal one through the brainstorming with our colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hassan. And that's very insightful, because different types of questions, like problem-solving questions, require a little bit more time. We can look at the Blackboard after the quiz is over to see what is the average time that was taken, or you can look at how long most of the students have taken to take the quiz, because you will see many of them finish way before, or a good bit before the time, not way before, maybe 2-3 minutes before the time. That means for most students, the time is not an issue. It's usually the slower 2, 3, 4 students that are complaining because they're slower, and this is what I'm finding. Is that true in your case as well, Dr. Hassan? Are you finding the same students complaining?
Well, yeah, precisely, and like we had like because because of the COVID-19, we have like a makeup exam for some students, and we have like to make a common makeup. And to be fair, like we have to distribute the same marks for each chapter with the one that will make the common current exam. And actually, like we have like make 20 multiple choices for 45 minutes, and we also make like a case, and for each case, the case we have like made like about 10 versions, and we distributed among the students with different sections in order not to get like the same case for each version. And with the technology today, they just like scan it and get it back to us. But the idea is that refer to the multiple choices. One of the students, even though that she has 45 minutes, which I think it was for 20 multiple choices, was more than enough. One of them, like she just like said, I don't have enough time and I didn't finish. And one of them, she in like 15 minutes. And I have just emailed her and tell her, how did you finish in 15 minutes? She said, it is very easy, but I think that there was something like not usual there. And believe me, like the multiple choices is not always the best, the ideal solution. And if you get back, like the student should make the calculations and write down the answer. And in the blackboard, sometimes if you write down, if you like, for instance, the correct answer is $50, and you make a dollar sign, but the student maybe enter 50,000 without the dollar sign, the blackboard will consider it as not correct. So again, here you are dealing again with the issue of that the answer should be ideal. So yeah, so it is like different from student to another, and different of what is the perspective of each student, that maybe will take a look at it in a different way, or maybe in a different method.
Now, Dr. Hassan, when you say that the answer, because if you do a fill-in-the-blank type question, you can give multiple answers. So you can make all those options as correct. You can give the 50,000 with the dollar sign, 50,000 with the comma, without the comma. You can make all of those options in Blackboard. You can give all those options, and any one of those options, if the students type, the Blackboard will consider it correct. You can do that instead of just having one option. Just to share with you, because I have done the same when I created those questions like that.
Okay, yeah, thank you. This is a good one. Yeah.
My pleasure. So we'll go to Dr. Farah. Dr. Farah, would you like to share with us something that you have done in terms of assessments? Can anybody hear Dr. Farah? Because I am not able to hear her.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Engineer Farah from College of Engineering. I'm teaching C++ programming courses. So what we did so far, that we eliminated the final exam from the lab. I'm actually teaching only labs. And as a result, the kind of assessment that we are working on now is the project in this course. So for the project, it will be like easy kind of assessment for the students, because they actually will work on that. And by the end of the semester, we need to meet each student to let him or to let her explain the way that they wrote the code. But for the quizzes, I'm using quizzes. I'm using the Blockdown browser, but I'm not sure if this is eliminating the cheating part here. Yeah, because I noticed, for example, that I find in the end that two students, they were sitting together and having looked down the browser, it never eliminated the idea of the cheating. And some of them, for sure, they had their mobiles or they tried to get the information from here or from there. So by the end of the day, what I did that I was really strict in having any kind of copied code between the different students. So I don't know, this is my story here.
Thank you, Doctora. The possibility of this is there, but my question to all of us is, have you done any comparison with the average of the quizzes that the students are taking now and comparing a statistical comparison between the grades before? Are they statistically significantly different? Have anyone done that?
I had a difference. And I find the ones that I have now is better than the ones before. But as I told you, this is before the copies between the different codes. But if you are going to look at the submissions as it is, yes, for sure now it will be better. That's why even I removed one of, I was planning to give 5 quizzes, so now I just made it 4. I'm not going to add another one.
Okay. Thank
Can
you,
I speak?
Dr. Yes, Dr. Pinto, please go ahead.
I'm teaching the lab courses in physics, and my students are familiar with online quizzes. I usually give them pre and post lab from the beginning of the course, and so they are familiar with the kind of questions I'm framing. However, the way they answer the quizzes is out of the cuff. So you just guess the answer, and as you mentioned earlier, we can check the average time they take. And surprisingly, the average time they take out of 20-minute span is about 5 minutes or so. So, and the level of questions in the post lab is slightly higher. It is similar to the level of questions that I'm asking now in the real quizzes. And the average time in the post lab quiz was about 3 minutes and 39 seconds or so. So very, very clearly, students are just guessing the answers. They're not serious enough in preparing and answering the quiz. However, when I gave the real quiz now, I tried methods. My pre and post lab were multiple choice because I didn't want to spend much time grading them. But now I'm grading it myself. I'm giving them multiple answers and short answers. So now with the same time frame of 20 minutes, they're not able to finish them. I do have some students who are really serious about the course are able to finish in time, but there are some who complain, and they really complain a lot about the time. So I do not know how to manage with this.
Thank you, Dr. Pinto. I think you may have mentioned, but the class is an engineering class?
Yes, the physics is for engineering, yes.
Engineering. Okay, I think we're all doing some form of trial and error, and I think we are better than what we were 2 weeks ago, I believe, because I think some methods are working and some methods are not working, and we are kind of doing better than what we were doing 2 weeks ago. Would you agree?
I believe, yes, now like we are used to do that. So we are trying to accommodate the situation and try to have like better ways of testing the students there.
Right. Thank you so much. We'll go to Dr. Ali. Dr. Ali, would you like to share with us something that you have done?
Yes, good morning. How are you, everyone? Yes, we are teaching math in society, and we are using online assessment. I comparing yani, some colleagues, maybe they think all the results are perfect. No, we have bad grades. Okay. Online assessment, I think, is a great tool. Okay, it's a great tool to assess students. I don't think so. We have to always be focused on cheating even on uh, paper-based exams. So for the cheating thing, I think it's a, waste of time. What does it mean waste of time? You cannot stop students if they want to cheat. However, you find bad grades. So bad grades will be whether on paper-based exam or on online exams. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, please
Hello.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for my advice to my colleagues on online exams is variety of delivering exams. Okay. This is what theory has shown in research. So multiple answer, multiple choice, they write the answer. When you deliver a variety of delivering of question, you assess the thinking skills part. Okay. So I go back again on the cheating. I think we have to how to say, we do our best. Okay, we present it in a certain time to students the exam, and that the students answer the questions. Okay, but some colleagues think that they all have good grades. Is not true. Okay, you have few who have not, and I did not see big discrepancy between the paper-based because we had already midterm, so the results I find. But one thing that maybe surprised me, I found students highly motivated, and this may be. Any colleague can comment on this. Why students are really motivated? Yani I have great discussions. Okay, once announcement that attendance is not counted, maybe the class number has been reduced. And I don't know to how much, maybe 60% attendees now. But students are motivated. They get into the discussion. They love that. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's a new way of teaching. Maybe they like it. I don't know. Maybe a survey on this would give us a good feedback. Thank you all.
Can I
Dr.
speak?
Pinto, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, I agree with Dr. Ali. Yes, the interaction is really a lot these days with online classes compared to the real classes. I see most of the students want to learn. They want to learn more things. The students who were shy earlier are asking questions. They're raising hands. So even I don't really know. I'm surprised how their motivation has improved. However, when I saw the grades, I forgot to mention that earlier, there is no irregularities in the grades at all. I find it very similar to what we had earlier and now with the online quizzes. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to share something else in regards to this? Go ahead, Dr. Chris.
Yes, hi. I just dropped in to kind of lurk. I didn't really intend on contributing to your session, but I know a couple of people in it. And I'll just reflect that I think it's natural to expect that some students will excel in this environment. One of our colleagues just mentioned that he's seen a 40% reduction. I think that's what he said. That 60% of the students are still there, and the other 40%, or maybe it was the other way around, that 40% are there and 60% aren't. Any new medium is going to attract a certain student population and repel another one. I think it's great that Ignatius reported good interactions with students and able for some students to come out of their shell. So that's good. We need to focus on the things that are positive from this experience and see what we can factor back into our so-called normal classroom teaching. And that's all by way of saying that what you're seeing with students, as Farah said, not doing original work on multiple choice tests and things, it's laying bare the long-standing and dramatic shortcomings of traditional assessment methods. Multiple choice tests have never been very good, and in this situation, their flaws are more exposed. So this notion of projects, in Farah's case, a programming project, that's a perfect way to assess students online. And I think we should try to do more of that.
Thank you, Dr. Chris. Just to share a couple of things, because the students I have had both kinds, students who are motivated and some students who need some motivation because of the overwhelming amount of work that might have come to them at once from different classes and so forth, and then being home all the time. And some students have responsibilities at home, they have children or they have other responsibilities, and because of that some of them are struggling. So there are both kinds, students who are motivated and students who are having difficulty in managing both the home and the work from the university at the same time. So a couple of things that I have done and I would share with you, and it seems to have helped some of my students. One is at the beginning of every live session, I just gave them the chance to tell me about their well-being, how they were doing, how the courses were going, and the students, just by letting it out, by venting what the problems they're facing were, etc., and it helped them. And I continuously tell them two things. One is put in a reasonable amount of effort. They're told all the time, do your best, you can do better, etc. And some of them are overwhelmed. So I ask them to put in a reasonable amount of effort, whatever is reasonable for that particular student, because this is an unusual situation and the circumstances are not regular. And I told them to just put in a reasonable amount of effort, whatever is reasonable for them, with all the other things that are going on in their home. And then accept the outcome without stressing. I try to continuously tell them that many things are not in your full control. The technology not working properly, and the professors giving you whatever they're giving you, things are not 100% in your control, neither are they 100% in my control. So I can put in a reasonable amount of effort, and then whatever the outcome would be, just accept it without stressing. And it seemed to have had a good effect on many students. I had some very good responses from students. And again, this is just not to I will just share with you one email just to kind of share with you what kind of response I have had. And this is an email from a student that I have received. I'll give you a couple of minutes to read it, and then we'll go to the next person, inshallah.
That's a great letter.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, Dr. Shahriar, I agree with you. Any positive attitude and be flexible with the students is the right time and moment now, since it's a new technology, new environment, new area. My advice to colleagues is to be flexible. Repeat the exam. Sometimes it get disconnected. People are not have the facilities, the social level. So many factors. So we have to be understandable to the situation. Thank you, Dr. Shahriar. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Doctor. So go to Dr. Sahbi. Would you share with us something that you have done?
Yes, hello everybody. I think my colleagues have said it all. I agree with all of them with their ideas. I've heard about motivation, which is very important. Um, Students were during this distance learning, and this is a new experience for us. Usually blended learning. When we talk about blended learning, and we used to be face to face with the students and communicating with Blackboard, send email, put documents in Blackboard, and so on. So exactly, and I agree with what my colleague have said. I noticed that distance teaching is like one-to-one education. It's like for each student there is one professor or one professor or one teacher who deliver the material. You can, anybody can ask questions. You can answer one by one questions, and if you know how to manage to control the class, you can encourage them, and so which is important to us, because sometimes we say maybe the students are just they log in and then they leave. You just see names, but you don't see the physically. You cannot see them, so you cannot tell whether the student is there or not. Why I'm saying this? Because I ask lots of questions when I do this. I use Collaborate actually, and I use Collaborate to deliver my class or do a review or solving problems. So I have always the same students who answer my questions, 3, 4, 5 students. Then sometimes, I have to say, okay, wait a minute, let me see the others. And then I start reading names, name by name, and try to wait for a response. It's like doing attendance, just to say, guys, you have to help. You have to, you have to collaborate with us. You have to participate. And this is very important. I think exactly what I have noticed. There is lots of motivation, and the students were there, to understand. Now, talking about exams, you see, I think in this situation, and if we were in the normal situation, and when I say normal situation, means that in class and we have online facilities. In normal situations, we can combine both, and we can say like we can do 10, 15 minutes, 15% of the assessment will be online. And I can do a couple of quizzes online, but the rest is on paper, of course, exam 1, exam 2, final. Now with this situation, I don't see any difference whether you do quiz or test or final or comprehensive assignment. All of them are questions within a program the students have to answer. So maybe to improve this, I would say we better make a variety, as my colleague said earlier. The exams or the assessment should be a variety of problems, of questions, from true false to multiple choice to fill in the blank to you have calculated formula, for example, and so on. So when you make a variety of questions, that at least help a little bit, the assessment. Of course, we don't talk about 100% success, but we try to improve the quality of the assessment. This is it. I read
What course are you teaching, doctor? What is the course that you're?
I'm teaching mathematics.
Math, okay. So the formulas and these numbers. We also teach accounting. I'm in the Department of Accounting. We have courses that have math, and then we have courses that do not have math. For example, I teach auditing as well as accounting information systems, and they're very much different from a math-oriented class. And also there are other departments and colleges that have courses where the option for problems and so forth actually are not there. So I guess we have to be innovative in each of our disciplines to see what more can we do in terms of assessments outside the traditional ones, and try to fit them more in this distance learning environment. And I think this whole thing that is happening is just a tremendous experience for all of us. Alhamdulillah, this is, pushing us to do what we would not have done otherwise. And I think this is a very good opportunity for us to improve ourselves. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. Yes.
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 Dr. Shahriar?
Please go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Ali.
Yeah, I want to share something with my colleagues. I am using online. I used online for many years ago. There is maybe misunderstanding with colleagues. There is no discrepancy between online and paper-based exam. This is from my personal experience and from literature. I'm not bringing anything new. And my portfolio, for many years, I'm writing that I advise for online, at least part of the assessment. Part, I'm not asking all, one midterm, one quiz. I use to do online my quizzes, and I don't have no discrepancy in grades. The good is the good. Actually, okay, I was doing in lab, the size building. So when online exams are well used, what the literature advise is a variety of delivering question, okay? You can ask true, false, multiple choice, hotspot. There are many multiple answer. You can make them with Blackboard. So conclusion, which I'm not bringing anything new. The literature that I read lots of papers on that. There is no such a discrepancy, and I found true. And I did since 2007 on Blackboard online. I did that. And the good students are the good, the bad, but well written. Not everything multiple choice, not all the exam for true false, not higher point in the question. This we can go in depth on this. Yeah, how to deliver it, how to write it, how to. Okay, I did it in labs, but the good students, when you want essay question, you take the essay question, you chop it up in parts, and there is no problem. The learning outcomes are measured and everything is fine. But I'm convinced 100% that the online assessment, I write it always in my portfolio, and I strongly advise my department to use part of the assessment as online. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. Now we will go to Dr. Siham. She's been here, one of the first 2-3 people that joined, and now we're just getting to her. Dr. Siham, please share with us something.
Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Siham from the chemistry department. I'm like Dr. Ali. I used to use the online exam since 2011, but it's not the only one. I used to have it to have the exam two-part, online and also hard copy to write some mechanism and reactions. Regarding if we compare between the result, it's nearly the same. However, the online, specifically the multiple choice questions, usually the average a little bit higher than the writing essay or completing equations or so on. Of course, doing online exam in Qatar University and within the campus with in a computer lab with blocking all the internet options and have several people watching the student is totally different from doing this whereas when the students are at homes. What I did in the online exam, I tried to not to prevent the cheating. This is impossible. I'm just trying to minimize or to reduce the the cheating. So first of all, I created groups within the course. So each group will be receive a different type of questions. They are nearly similar in level, but at least just to minimize the cheating. And also I'm using the Blackboard different features like to auto submit or make the question by one, not all at once. and stop going backtracking. Also regarding the time, I tried to do benchmark, and I found that most of the people saying that 45 seconds for the question is good enough. But of course, I said I will give the student double the time, so about 1.5 minutes for each question. So this is what I did to minimize. And I did one exam last week after this COVID-19, and I compared the result with the exam which I did before, and it's nearly the same, increasing 1 mark or decreasing 1 mark. So it's nearly the same. So it seemed that it's worked somehow. Yani. That's my experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Siham. We have, most of us have here are teaching technical subjects with the exception of Dr. Daniel. I think she's teaching English. Now, Dr. Siham, just to share a couple of things about this issue of cheating and so forth. What I'm going to say is might sound a little naive, but I told my students repeatedly that I believe that none of them will access the book or take help from anybody else when they're taking the exam, because they're my students and I trust them. I repeatedly tell them this, and I do use some of those things, prohibit backtracking, presenting one question at a time, etc. And an overwhelming majority of the exams that I've given several small tests and so forth, I do not find a statistically significant difference between the grades of these tests and the ones they have taken prior to the distance learning environment. And I do not find statistically significant difference between these tests and the ones in the previous semesters. So I do not believe an overwhelming majority of the students are cheating at all. But again, this is just me. So if anyone wants to say anything about this, please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I put the same statement as you mentioned, but I'm not only saying this orally. I wrote it in the test description. There is a description in the online test. So I put it. This is not an open book exam. So I'm confident that you will not, open any document or going back to the textbook. So I just try 2 lines about this. But I put it in the description of the exam that it is not an open. If it's not an open book, I will write that statement. If it's a homework or I ask them to go and check any resources, I will not write it. So I put it in the course, in the exam description.
Thank you, Doctor. That is excellent. So we have Dr. Weil. Would you like to share something with us about any assessment that you have tried in your class? Okay, Dr. Weil may be having a connection problem. He's reconnecting. So just to summarize what we have discussed in the next few minutes, is we have varieties of assignments, quizzes, presentations, as well as projects that are given for the students to work on and then submit. And we discussed the pros and cons in each case, and then one of the things that we discussed was the student motivation. Some students are motivated and some others are not, and different environments, like Dr. Chris said, bring out the different talents in different types of students and so forth. So I believe we have gained much from each other in this session. If you have anything else that you would like to share with us, um, please go ahead and again and finish the session. Dr. George, go ahead, please.
I have write the question because my baby is sleeping, so I cannot talk really loudly. So it's what about the student number actually? How to deal with big number? Because till the moment, I am not really sure that the method can be similar to any classes number. So there is any suggestion to add here?
Dr. Chris, would you like to say something? What is the average number of students that most of us are faced with? Is it somewhere in the neighborhood of 40? You can type in if you like. Is it somewhere in the neighborhood of 40, right? Around 40? Others, is it more or less? 20 to 25, 40, 40, 30. So, Dr. Hassan, how many students do you have? So we have 15, and we have now, I myself have a class where I only have 12 students. In another class I have about 30, another one I have more than 40. So it depends, the participation and the discussion is more going around, and I can go to each student and ask them to participate in a class of 12, let's say, in the class of 30 also, because let's say in a given class 25, 26 students would come, and I could still go around and ask them to participate and so forth. But if it is more than 40, having a discussion and having every class trying to go around, it is probably a little bit difficult. Would you agree? Right. So you can have other discussion forums, for example. You can have discussion forums where they would discuss outside the class, you would have, and you could give, for example, one of my classes that I took as a student when I was doing my PhD at the University of Memphis. It was an education class at the College of Education, and the course was online, although we had some face-to-face meetings. And the professor had us come to this discussion forum and post at least two meaningful comments to discuss, post two meaningful posts where some thoughts and ideas we would share and discuss. And she specifically said, that you cannot just say, I agree with such and such, or I have the same opinion and so forth. You have to come. And then she would grade us on that. And so this could be one of the ways that you could have a discussion forum outside the live session where the students would discuss a particular topic if that is suitable for your course, and then you could perhaps grade them based on that. And then the downside of this is I actually, while I was an instructor at the University of Memphis, I took over a class, online class, while someone was out of town, and they had the discussion. And the downside of this is, as an instructor, is that you have to read a load of text to go and see who's saying something original and meaningful, as opposed to who's just posting a post and it has no substance. So there are benefits and there are some negative points about this as well. Does that kind of address what you brought up? Okay, so we are almost out of time. It's about 10 55 now. Is there anything else anybody would like to share before we end the session, either orally or by text? All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you joining, and inshallah, I will see all of you inshallah on campus very soon. You all take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.